by the motion. Love it is devotion. Live it up, sweet emotion. Every time, every night, you and I count a roll. Switch it up where I'm going. Stay on the fly, just in time, know the right way to go.
Ooh, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Welcome back to High Top Sports. We are live in the studio with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Cody, a.k.a. the Professor. The new AJ Hawk, I guess one could say. He was ripping his stogies last time. He's ripping his stogies again. We're here to bring you all the hype and holler about Jacksonville Jaguars, NFL talk, all that good jazz. So make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe, show some love. I'm your co-host, Sheldon Walker. Happy to have you guys here. Hope you're having a great Sunday so far. The beach was absolutely packed. We were driving by today, went and did some family fun time. We call it family effing fun around here. And, dude, we were driving down, and we were going down the beach, and the whole roads are just caked full of cars. And I go, babe, at what car do you go, yeah, this ain't it? Like, I'm not going today. You know what I mean? Like, which car is it that's going to make you turn around? She goes, this one. I go, I know how the parking lot looks. I'm not, if we're out to this point, if we're out of the parking lot, I ain't going. Dude, two sides of parking lot, jam-packed, and then probably like a half mile, maybe a quarter mile of just cars just lined up. Go over the bridge, bro. The beach is just nut to butt of people. Boats. We're down here in the Matanzas Inlet area. It's a little sandbar. People go absolutely berserk for it. There was a houseboat. They had jet skis. I mean, it looked like a good time. Don't get me twisted. But golly, dude, it's crazy. I forget, like having a kid, you kind of shut things down, but I forget just how crazy people get during these weekends and feel like they all got to go out. This is the weekend to do it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I just spent the whole day
You were in the boat
here in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. We went boating. The sun down here it's not hot. It's not bright. It's nuclear, okay? I mean, I am roasted from head to toe. You know, had a couple brews with the pops and the grandpa, and we again, it was mass chaos. There was boats lined up for miles.
Oh yeah.
It was incredible. Shout out to all the veterans and everybody that unfortunately has lost their life. That's what Memorial Day tomorrow is really about. So shout out to them, to everybody that keeps this country free and allows me and Shelton to do things like this.
Shout out to you, Coates. You're a vet as well, man. So I appreciate your service as well. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Much love there for sure. But yeah, it's I love hearing you Northerners. Definitely taking a shot here. Come down here and talk with the sun. Like it's just like it's a normal. I love it, bro. I literally will go out in the middle of like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and just like soak it in. I can't get enough of it. Like it's been kind of cold these past few days. We had a little hurricane out there, a little tropical storm, blowing some winds. It was like 65. You would have loved it. But I was like, I'm caught a jacket on yesterday at some point during the day. Like I was like, look, where's my son? I need it. I need to get fired up. But boys and girls, we had a jam-packed show. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Shout out to all the vets out there, like Cody said, to him himself as included. We got Charles Gross, the show, and got that dog in him. Love him. Harrison Sanchez, what's up, baby? Scott, how you doing? Mr. Nobody says, Cody, grow a damn mustache for heaven's sake. I mean, I feel like with the guys we got on the show, you got to grow some hair, Codes. I don't know if you can.
Can't.
Do your best.
Now my brother, my little brother, unfortunately, balding at the head at 25, but full facial hair. It's nice. Yeah,
that's usually nice. How it works, bro. I don't get it. Steven said, what's up, boys? What's up, big dog? Ed Dupree says, let's go. Let's get it, baby. And Muddy, at least we're not talking about the Heat. Bro, I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm lost for words for what happened last night. Rick and I are watching on the phone. We're just watching the refresh. We're not actually physically watching. We're watching like the sports app, just watching like it tells us what's happening, right? And I see Jaylen Brown take shot and misses shot. I lose it because I was like, no way someone rebounds it with 3 seconds left and puts it up. So I'm running around this wedding going, hit me, baby, suck it. Like just completely obnoxious. And he goes, Sean, we lost. I go, well, no. No, it didn't. He goes, yeah, it just went to 104. I go, no, it didn't. He goes, yeah, come here, idiot. And I go, no, it's a typo. It's a typo. Like something broke. And we were sitting there waiting, and they said in. I'm like, no, fuck no. Something happened. It's a mistake. And I call my wife. She's like, yeah, he tipped it in. I was like, oh my, dude. I felt numb the rest of the night. Like I wanted to throw up. It's not looking good. It's not looking good, boys. I'm not, I was thinking about it today. Or yesterday, actually, when this happened. The Red Sox are the only team in baseball to come back 0-3 against the Yankees. The Patriots hold probably the greatest, one of the, if not the greatest, one of the greatest comebacks in Super Bowl history, probably the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history, being down 28-3 to the Falcons. Yeah. Right? My other teams I like to go for as well. So you got those two teams. The Bruins just lost, where they just were up 3-1 against the Panthers after having the best record in hockey. They blew a pretty big lead that doesn't happen too often, up 3-1, and now the Celtics are on the verge of breaking something that's never happened before in basketball, being down 0-3. So Boston seems to always be in it with some type of historic comeback. I don't understand it. They're always in it to win it for some reason. I mean, I always say Boston fans are the greatest too. They've got a phenomenal fan base. They're hilarious to watch. As much as I hate Boston teams and would love for them to lose, you can't hate on the success they have. But yes, it's something about Boston. It really is, man, and I hate it. I hate every second of it. Brutal, boys. Absolutely brutal. But jam-packed show. We're going to talk about OTAs. We're going to talk about the Thunder and Lightning combo that's coming to Jacksonville, coming to a store near you. Go into Anthony a little bit. Some more hype is coming out from camp about him. Then we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. What's going on with him? He's getting old. He's getting fragile. We talked about this in our other shows about this trade and kind of just the nuances of it. We're going to talk about it. McManus being signed to the Jags. What does that mean? Got some questions. And then Hopkins being getting the nod as a dark knight for a possible Jaguar destination. Let's get all into it. But first order of business, Mr. Thunder and Lightning himself, Tanks Bigsby, rookie coming out of Auburn University. Guy's a stud, 6 foot monster. Was a 5-star coming out of high school, mind you, just in case you guys didn't know. So kind of we're always talking about 5 stars and 4 stars in recruits and how that translates to the NFL. 5-star running back, went to Auburn. Look, got recruited got drafted, not a first-round draft pick, but definitely, NFL style of player. So again, there's people who argue stars don't matter, but if you go look at the data, typically it translates that 4 and 5 stars find themselves more likely in the NFL than you got percentage of 3 and 4 stars. But how's that combo? How's that relationship going to work in Jacksonville, Codes?
Boy, I tell you, you got something special brewing down there with Thunder and Lightning. So before I did this, I wanted to do the professor thing and obviously go watch some game film of Big Tank. Mm. And the things I like about him is really the low center of gravity. Him and Etienne are 5'10", 5'11", but the guy's lower body power is it's incredible. He's a one cut type of back. He's gonna hit the hole. He goes north and south. He doesn't do a lot of shimming and shaking, kind of like Etienne does. He's gonna go, and then when he does get tackled, he always falls forward, and that's big with the NFL scouts. And the reason that's big is because if you take if they stop him at 3 yards, right, a 3-yard gain, and he leans over and reaches the ball over and falls forward, you're getting an extra 2 yards. So you just took a 3-yard run to a 5-yard run, and that's really what you want in the NFL or college is 5+ yard per tote.
And real quick, not to mean to cut you off, but just to stack on top of that, when he won Offensive Player of the Year, Auburn's Offensive Player of the Year in 2021, he had 1,000 yards with 10 scores, and he averaged 4.9 yards a carry. So kind of, and 13 starts. And look, at Auburn, we know Auburn's been, their offense has been abysmal over the last few years, but they're playing against top-tier defenses in the SEC. So going back, kind of just confirming what you went there. And last year, his senior year in 2022, he averaged 5.4 yards a carry. So
that's what we're talking about.
If you guys do math, you got your calculator on you. I don't know if you do. Two runs of those will be a first down, just in case anybody was wondering how that plays out.
And there's a famous quote. He's got good vision. He's got ballerina feet, and you got to have that ballerina feet to really make the cut when it gets muddy. And everybody at Auburn knew he was getting the ball. The defense knew he was getting the ball. But what really is spicy about him is that constant leg drive. Yeah, you're gonna hit him. Say you hit him at the 5 yard line, he's gonna drag you for another 3, 4, 5 yards and fall forward. That's what they like about him. That's the thunder effect, and that's gonna wear on defenses. Just getting hammered with that, and then you toss the ball to ETN.
Mm-hmm.
ETN obviously 4.4 speed. Some people say a little bit faster than that on the field. I believe it. After watching some more of his tape, I went back all the way to his college days and watched some tape too. And he's got 4.4 speed. He's agile. He's elusive. He catches the ball well out of the backfield. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But the nice thing about ETN is you wear the defense down. You hand him the ball on the sweep play or the little screen pass that they like doing or the wheel route, and he's going to take it to the house. He has that home run capability. Does Tank have that? I don't know. He runs a 4.56. He doesn't have the home run hitter, but you have one in ETN, and you want to keep the tires as fresh as possible on ETN because we all know who the star back is down there in Jacksonville, and it is ETN. So it's nice that you get a second quality guy. He's young. He's gonna know his role, and it's gonna be the Thunder and Lightning show, and that's just gonna help your young quarterback that we're gonna get into OTAs. That's gonna help him strive even more.
And right now, you went over this, but they've got him slated as the second running back on the depth chart here.
Yeah,
With Hasty the
right now.
third and Ernest Johnson, who they signed in the offseason from the Browns, I believe, as their fourth back. So a lot of studs back there. Could it be by committee? I don't think so. I think Travis is going to be the guy, but having somebody like a Tanks, and think about it, both of these running backs were the studs at their respectable colleges. Now they have an opportunity to split the load a little bit, which will allow each guy to really hopefully stand out. And Tanks, like you said, everyone knew he was getting the ball. Well, now you don't know, right? He's going to allow for him to, maybe we'll even see more out of him than we're seeing now because the offense will be so dynamic. I mean, it's going to be incredible with Trevor and what, the weapons that he has on offense. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on with Hopkins possibly as well, but absolutely huge with this dynamic that's coming to Jacksonville. And a late round draft pick too. I think it was 5th, I believe.
I believe so. Yeah, and here's another thing: as long as he develops in the pass blocking aspect, which is something that we have talked about in the NFL. It's not as big in college, but you gotta be able to pass block in the NFL. I don't see that being a problem with him. He's got the anchoring legs. It's not going to be an issue with pass blocking. I don't see that. But we see it at Florida. You give Montreal, you beat up the defense a little bit and let them
Mm-hmm.
hammer away at him, and then you just give Etienne the ball, and he takes it 20, 30, 40, 50 yards.
Fresh. And
It's
I
a
mean,
beautiful
even
combo.
getting to the Gators a little bit, but that running back room is even thick as well with just a ton of talent. So when you've got a bunch of guys back there that are playmakers that you can dump the ball off to, it just really opens up the rest of your playbook. So, but yes, being able to be a pass blocker is going to be huge, especially with concerns on the offensive line for the Jaguars. And obviously your number one priority is to protect Trevor Lawrence. So if you're not able to get those stops, that could definitely and will definitely impact his time on the field. So something to keep an eye on through practice into those early preseason games. Obviously, I'm sure it'll be a point of emphasis for him and the team moving forward. So we'll talk about it. Logan Walker, what's up, big dog? What's up, little bro? Moving on, let's go into a little OTAs talk. Mr. Professor, let's talk about how those things are going. I got a lot of noise. We had it last week, but we're able to wrap it up. How are we looking?
Yeah, again, let's start off with this. No big giant injuries, right? Which is good. Let's start off with Mr. Walker Little, tackle on the offensive line. He was kind of asked in the press conference he did. They did it like they do little press conferences every day by the local media jackals, and so let's get down to that. He goes, I'm just here to work. They said, what are you going left or right side tackle? He goes, I'm here to work. They can put me where they want me. I'm fluent in both. They're working me both ways, left and right tackle, and I'm just here to earn my spot and to earn a starting spot. So again, we talk about Trevor Lawrence and that being big, that offensive line. He kind of ran around for his life a little bit. And you shouldn't really expect these offensive linemen to be producers day one and day two in the NFL. Some do, but it's very rare, just because of the size and the strength that they're going up against. So, Slate Walker in to be a rotational piece, but he seems like he's hungry, and you're going to see a lot of that. And these other two players I'm going to talk about, they're all hungry. Secondly, let's go to T.
Let me
Law.
talk about Walker Little really quick here, because Walker Little is
Okay, yeah,
important.
no problem.
Again, like you said, are they going to put left or right? Because with the suspension of Cam Robinson, Anton Harris is slated to be the second guy for left tackle. We still haven't got an update on the suspension and what it's going to be, but he will be suspended nonetheless. So we've got to worry about those first few games, whether it's 6, 8, whatever it turns out to be. So the left side, obviously being the most important side, it's Trevor's blind side. So Walker Little has a little more experience. I think that's why everyone keeps asking him, hey, are you okay with that? And like you said, he's just like, I'm here to do a job. I'm here to do what's expected out of me. Wherever you need me, I'll be there. There's a lot of talk, too, of like, it's offensive line. Is it that much of a difference? Well, yes and no, right? When you've been working a certain position for so long, I mean, it's just like anything. You're used to dropping back a certain way, and your body language and how you position, all that has a factor. Look, these guys are professionals. I'm sure they can learn the other side pretty quickly. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. But like you said, when you're going up against an edge, that's their spot, and they're dialed in. They're honed in, right? They're the professional on that end, and you're kind of learning it. They're going to find the weaknesses much quicker, especially in the NFL. So you got to be sharp as attack, especially when you're in a role like left tackle and you're protecting, you're again, how we mentioned before, the golden nugget in Trevor Lawrence. So again, that line's a little shaky, but good to hear that mentality. You wouldn't expect anything less, but something to keep an eye on for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Walker is he's another year in the NFL strength and conditioning program. He's going up against a decent D line every day. He's gonna iron shape his iron, and he's gonna work, and he's gonna get better. And it's gonna be all right, I think, most definitely. And to have a guy that can float both ways, and when you say the learning curve, it's different blocking schemes. Some people run zone, some people run um, power, but it's one of those things where he'll pick it up. But I see the offensive line. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be worse. It may be the same, but with the addition of some of these weapons that T Law got, I think it's going to be better. And T Law has another year, obviously under the new regime of Dougie P. Now let's go to T Law. He goes, look, I'm willing to learn every single day. When I come in here, I want to know essentially um, what defenses are trying to do. They're always changing. They'll never stop. I want to know that I'm getting better at my job. The QB coach said, his maturity is off the charts. He's seen 15-year veterans with not as much maturity as T-Law. And I get it. That's expected out of a franchise quarterback, especially a guy like him that has had the limelight on him since he was in high school. And
Sure.
he doesn't get in trouble. You don't see him, in bars. You don't see him in clubs getting in trouble late. Next thing that Dougie P and the QB coach said is we're working on the muddy pockets. We took a lot of sacks we shouldn't have. We're looking on the check down, basically the pacifiers with the tight end and some of the running backs. We're working on that. He took a lot of sacks he shouldn't have. The muddy pockets are the biggest thing for him to face this year, especially with, obviously, they know that the offensive line was shaky last year, and it's probably not going to be a world beater this year. So it seems like he's willing to learn. Obviously, they're working on flaws that we saw in the season with the muddy pockets. He kind of took some sacks that he probably could have got away with checking it down.
Sure.
But that's the learning curve that we're talking about. Lastly, and you're gonna like this, Ridley.
Hold on, let me talk
No,
about T-Law real quick. We talked T-Law in its
yeah, go
maturity.
ahead.
So, speaking of T-Law, again, a big thing that gets overlooked is the fact that he married his high school sweetheart. And the reason I bring that up is you kind of cut all the noise out of the way. it gets overlooked. I mean, it's not. You may think it's not that big of a deal, but like you said, he's not going out partying. He's got it. He's got his girl locked down. It's the same reason I can relate. I've been with my wife since we were 15 years old. Right? There's a whole lifestyle that I don't have to worry nor think about. I'm just out here to play a game and get the job done. Right? My job being building this. Right? I got to worry about finding the missus or someone that's going to be a good wife or a good mom. So especially at this age, he's got it locked in, and she seems to be pretty dialed in and very mature for her. It on the other side of the football field, you got Patrick Mahomes and his family, right? Like that's the comparison of what it could be. And he has the same kind of boat where he married her young. He's been with her, so he's same mentality, but she's trying to blow him up on her own time. But it's that same kind of style.
Brother.
Look at Herbert. Herbert's very, very boring. Joey B, very boring. You kind of want that in a quarterback, right? A very just boring, and I don't mean boring in a negative way, but not going out being crazy, partying, where you see them constantly everywhere. That's what you're looking for. So when he says, hey, a 15-year vet is married, has 4 kids, a.k.a. Phillip Rivers, and they just come and go. It's business. I'm here to get shit done, right? Yep. Where, look, you got your wide receivers and running backs and linebackers. They're there to party. Dude, each position has a personality that goes along with it. Kickers, punters, they're the funny guys. Offensive linemen, they're the fun, bubbly guys. Hang out, they're the ones doing the bar. It's just human nature. That's how it works, man. I don't put these guys where they go. It's just personalities fit along with those positions. So the linebackers, usually they're just crazy ass mofos. Like you probably don't hang out with them. Nobody hangs out with them. You don't know what they do on their off season because you're like, how are you? What's wrong with you? They probably go sleep in a dark cave for 4 months out of the year. No one knows. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No one knows.
The ones that are good are crazy. But yeah, very mature. Even when he came, I remember coming out of the draft, he hadn't lost, and he was like, look, I really don't get too up and down about winning and losing. I'm really not like that. I don't get that worked up. And I remember talking with one of my buddies about that, and he's like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about his personality. He's not very like a woo-ha kind of guy. He's super chill. And I'm going to be honest, I was a little anti-Trevor and from that regards of like, I kind of want a killer in my quarterback. But now, obviously, with the maturity, because Tom Brady, in my opinion, has that killer mentality, but he also has a very cool, calm, and collected. I think he's got to find a little bit of both, a little bit of balance. And I think we saw that towards the end of the year. That killer mentality was starting to come out towards the end of the playoffs. But he also handles losing very well as well. As you were about Calvin.
Yeah, so like you said with the Mahomes deal, it could be worse. Ridley, they say this is from, I believe, the wide receiver coach. I read it on one of the local media jackals was talking about, and he said, he's really engaged here. He likes everybody, but he really feels he got a second lease on his NFL career, and he's hungry. He's a guy everybody loves, and he just makes everybody better every single day, including our DBs. He works them, and so you're getting, you're working two sides of the field with one player, and elite receivers are going to make your DBs better. That's just is what it is. And for him to come in focused and not feel like, that he is the big man on campus and come a little bit more humbled, and he feels like, this is a second lease on life. They didn't Pete Rose him for the gambling. It's one of those things where it's good to see for Jags Nation, because let's be real. Wide receivers are not the most humble people on the field. I can tell you that.
Sure. Yeah, I think something to kind of compare this to is the Patriots with Bill Belichick. Not as much anymore, but for a while, especially when Tom was there, they would pick up players towards the end of their career, maybe players that made maybe a mistake or had a lackluster performance elsewhere. Maybe their head got too big, their ego got ahead of them, and they were great players at one point, but something like this happened to where their value diminished. So the Patriots were like, well, guess what? We'll come pick you up. We'll bring you in as one of ours for basically nothing, because they've got nothing left to give. And they turned it around. It made them have that second resurgence, and then maybe they would sign another big year contract, go elsewhere. But the Patriots were always phenomenal. I remember when Tebow went to New England, I was like, this is it. This is your last chance, big guy, because that's New England kind of created that culture and atmosphere of like, look, we can save you. If you don't make it here, you're not making it anywhere. And so I feel like we're going to get that mentality out of Calvin Ridley. I'm not saying the Jaguars are the New England Patriots in the sense of like their culture's there. I feel like with what's happened to Calvin, it's naturally baked into him that he's going to just have that bounce back season and be thankful that he has an opportunity in Jacksonville. Maybe we could become that place where it's like, hey, somebody makes a mistake. We realize there's a potential there. We see what they can do, but they made a mistake. We can get them pretty cheap, and they'll be thankful that they're back into it. Especially with the team that Jacksonville has, you now want to be part of this because it is special, and that's what New England had. It's like, I want to be a part of that team. I want to win. And so same thing's happening here in Jacksonville. I love it.
Yeah, and it's he's got a quarterback that's going to be able to throw him the ball too, and he's not going to be in that lackluster offense that he was in before. So,
yeah,
big for him.
No, absolutely. A couple things. Godspeed says, "Show me, what's up, big dog?" Muddy says, "I bet Jacksonville trades a high draft pick mid-season for offensive lineman help. Jags couldn't run at the middle at all last year, and we're going for it this year, especially before all the contracts next year." Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I could definitely see a trade probably happening if it doesn't go well. And Godspeed, that was my bad, bro. I'm a little sick right now under the weather. That was a week. My boy! I realized that when I said it. That's my bad, bye-bye. I appreciate your love as always. Muddy says, not Jags related, but what do y'all feel about Big Ben coming out saying he was rooting for Kenny Pickett to fail? I didn't see that. I did not
I didn't see that either.
hear or see that. Very interesting, though. Very interesting. I think this is why I love, like, now the guys, when they get out of the league, they're able to kind of say what they want. I mean, you see guys all the time now, especially with podcasts nowadays. Guys will literally go on there to say anything, especially players that maybe fell off. Oh, airing it out, dude. Especially players that maybe fell off a little bit, maybe we're trying to get some love. I mean, there's one guy, I can't think of his name. I think it was, I don't know. One of the basketball players came out and shitted on LeBron saying, years from now, they'll look at all the stats and they'll think, oh, he's the GOAT, but the players will know he was shit. Once they're all out of the league, everyone feels whatever they can say. So that's the one like cool thing with these podcasts, because we hear all kind of ins and outs. During the season, though, and you wouldn't want him to, Big Ben would never say that. But I'm getting to it. My point here is these guys, I mean, they got these young kids trying to take their job. As mature as they are, and as they try to play this veteran presence, and like, yeah, like I'm like his mentor to him. They don't want that guy to have any success. They don't want a Bledsoe and Brady situation at all. I mean, you're in
Brett and Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want that at all. And I feel like probably like a Bledsoe and a Brett, right? They probably took it in and was like, yeah, hey, let's rock and roll. I think you saw it happen with Garoppolo and Tom. Tom saw what was happening with Garoppolo and was like, you get this fucking guy out of here, because I'm over here sweating my balls off because it's close and it shouldn't be this close. Get him out of here. I think I've done too much.
Brett's famous words. I think it was like Rodgers' like first or second year, and he tells Packer Nation, like during OTAs or something, he goes, "Look, my job's to score 21 points a game on offense. My job isn't to worry about Aaron Rodgers and if he's getting developed. I could give a shit less if he ever really throws a pass in the league. I'm not here to coach him."
And I think the same thing happened with Rodgers and Love. Like, he never really showed him any love.
No. Nope.
Yeah, it's look, I think we the interviews go much differently than what's actually being felt. So it's fun to hear it after the fact. But I did not hear about that. Appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, no problem. Just a wealth of knowledge here.
He says Big Ben said he was pissed and felt like he still had plenty of game left. He did not. It was his time to go. But look, I get that. When you're at the end there, the tank's getting empty, it may feel like it runs out a lot faster when they bring in your replacement. But that's Pittsburgh's job. Like, it's business. You've been a part of it on the good side for the last however long he played. So get over Big Ben. He's being a baby. Moving on, we've got McManus from the Broncos signed with the Jaguars. Releasing of Riley Patterson. A lot of scratching heads going around, but I got some data I want to read for you guys. And Muddy already mentioned it a little bit, but I'm not going to give him any credit because I was already prepared for this. I don't want him to Muddy to think that I just took his comment. I mean, it helps support what we were reading here, but McManus had a pretty rough 2022 season. We look at his numbers. He finished at 29th, rated amongst all kickers with a 77.8% success rate, compared to Riley, who had a 85% success rate, finishing at 17. You're like, okay, well, that's half of what of what McManus did. So what's going on here? I mean, what are we doing? Well, the years prior to that, for the past 4 years, McManus kicked at 83%. Still behind what Riley did last year, right? But much better. What's being looked at, and when you actually take a deeper dive into this, is McManus attempted 13 field goals of 50 or more yards last year, 2 of them being over 60, which ranks second most in the NFL last year of kicking 50 yards. Comparison, Patterson only kicked 3 attempts from that range, and 2 of those were 60+. So the whole idea of this was we need a guy with a big leg. And obviously, the Broncos were constantly using McManus in big moments to kick the big leg. I think McManus has been around for a long time. The guy reminds me of kind of like a Tuskowski or Vinatieri. Like he's become one of those long-term names. And kickers, they're not living as long as they used to. The young guy seems to be taking those jobs. So when you kind of get an old guy in there, especially with like who has that experience in kicking in big-time games for a very long time, that kind of was my thing. Is like, look, you're getting a guy that that's been doing this for a very long time. But the biggest factor is the big leg. They're going after a guy who can make these 50-yarders and 60-yarders. Obviously, his success rate wasn't the greatest, right? But obviously, they felt more comfortable in him kicking longer field goals than we probably did with Patterson when we probably would have punted it. I wish I could have had that number up. But how many times were we 50+ and we took a delay game and punted it versus if McManus is there, we go out, we send him out there. That could turn into 6, 9 more points a game if that were to happen. So a lot to look into. And again, I think it's a small move, but a move into saying, hey, we're here to win now because you're going after a veteran presence. On just one more veteran presence in a very important role. The kicker is I think we can all understand how extremely important it is. To me, I always compare them to the closers in baseball. They don't do much, hang out 98% of the time. But when they're on the field, when they are playing, they have to be locked the fuck in. All eyes are on them, and if they make the smallest mistake, they are getting shredded. So nobody really gives them any crap, to be honest with you. Nobody is out there wishing they were the kicker or they were the closer. Maybe a closer because closers are kind of cool and they've done a good job of like making, being a closer is cool. But like a kicker and a closer, your career can be over in a matter of 2 to 3 games. Literally. You go out and have 2 to 3 bad games in a row, you will never be heard of again. And it's rare that you get a second chance because that next guy up is just as hungry and is just as cracked out as you were, but doesn't have the yips yet. Because it's very easy to fall into the yips when you're in a position like this, when the pressure gets there. So I'm excited. I think it's a great pickup.
Yeah, most definitely. And here's another thing is, kickers are it's a tough position, guys, because it's almost like a golfer, and golfers can lose their swing and look terrible. But as soon as they find it back again, they're right on the money, right? We've seen it. We've seen the very best do it. That they kind of have a down year and everybody counts them out, and next year they look great. And holders have a lot to do with that. There's a lot of dynamics when it comes to kicking. Obviously the mental game of it too. And I think it's a good pickup coming from the Vikings that have been plagued with kicking issues for years and years and years and years. That's where kickers go to die, really, it feels like. It's one of those things where just because he had one down year, you got to look back at his track record. And if he's been good all these years and he can nuke the ball from 50+, just believe in it, because he might find a swing back and it might be right when you need him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you said, like he's been good consistently. That's a big thing too. It's like it's not much of a drop off. If you look at last year's number, yes, but historically not so much. Moving on, hopping to the Ville. So Hopkins had made it clear a few months back that he wanted to come play for Jacksonville. Kind of went by the wayside. Everyone got excited about it. We talked about a precast about it happening again. I was looking around, kind of do some reading. Top 5 destinations were the Bills. Great destination for him. That would be scary. Kansas City. Please, God, no. I want to say the Eagles were a team. A few other ones. Giants, I think, were another one. That would make sense. But the Jaguars are becoming a dark night because it's a place that he wants to play. He's made it clear he wants to play there. He's from the South Carolina area, so it's close to home. Guy's a 10-year vet, 30 years old. For a wide receiver, that's a pretty long time. Pretty long time to be in the league. He's dealt with some injuries over the last few years. So, I mean, how much time does he have left? I don't know. But he also wants to play with either Herbert or Trevor Lawrence. That's been what he stated as well, too. Now, if you look at the top 5 list, neither of those teams fall on that list, mostly due to salary cap space. Neither team can really afford what he's wanting or should be getting. That doesn't mean they can't work something out. I'm just letting you know that's kind of the logistics of it right now. But again, they're coming up as a dark night. The question I guess we're asking and we want to talk about is, if you're Jacksonville, from a fan perspective and from a team perspective, do you want them? I mean, I think you can never say no, right? Can you have too many great wide receivers on your staff? No.
No.
I think the cost, again, the logistics is going to be a huge thing. I don't think we go spend and have a little bit left on him. I don't think he's that worth it. I think the money needs to be spent elsewhere, especially if we make a midseason trade for offensive lineman or whatever it may be. I think we need to save room for whatever that happens. But again, a veteran presence on the wide receiver side. Christian Kirk, you can kind of say is a veteran presence, but again, he played with old D-Hop at Arizona. You're bringing the boys back in town, right? Bringing the studs.
Yeah.
So we'll see. A Clemson connection as well. Yeah. I'm pretty sure went to Clemson. So a lot of things. They played there at Clemson.
Interesting with that too. Yeah, if you can sign them for like 1 year, 2 year deal, sign for a 2 or 3 year deal. I would say 3 is probably the max. You can backload that contract to the back end. You can probably give him about $3.5-4 million a year. Now, if he wants to play with T-Law that bad, he's made his money in the NFL. Why not?
Yeah, I think that's what it goes to too. Is like, how bad does he want to win? Are you willing to take the cut, a pay cut to come win and play with a young team? I would like the addition. I think having a veteran wide receiver presence is massive. Marvin Jones was that last year, in my opinion. He's no longer there. But you got Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, got 2 tight ends, Evan Ingram and Britton Strange from Penn State now. Yeah, D-Hop, man. I mean, you're talking about they're going to be up there for an argument for top wide receiver rooms in the country. Last year, we had an argument about that. I said the Eagles the Eagles are one of the top ones. But if they somehow pull this off, I mean, they're going to be definitely in that conversation. Again, I think if you can make it right and it makes sense, I mean, send it. I think you're you're in a very interesting position where he wants to come play for you. Figure it out, guys. Figure it out.
Yeah, and he's not looking to make a score of money right now. He knows he's at the end of his career. So if he's willing to sacrifice,
they're trying to cash in though. So we'll see. Who knows how much he spent? But
we'll see.
We will see. It'll be something to keep an eye on. If it happens, we'll be excited regardless.
Yeah.
So around the league, we're gonna talk about Anthony Richardson, new sheriff in town. We talked about him last week a little bit, but the noise just keeps on coming. Professor?
Boy, reps. He is stealing all the reps. And I think it's a good thing. They know he's the future, so they're giving him 50% of the ones, with Garner Minshew getting the other 50%. He's getting 100% of the twos, and he's getting 50% of the threes. So he's getting essentially more reps than any of the quarterbacks probably in the league, truthfully, because you're not really going to do that unless you're trying to get him caught up to speed fast. Now, I will say this, and this is coming from, obviously, an offensive player, one of the tight ends, Ali Coley, I think his name is, down there in Indianapolis, says, guys, he has the most incredible arm I've ever seen. It's a flick of the wrist, and the ball is a 40-yard rope, which we all know that. And he said, he made three throws just today that is top level NFL throws that only the top guys are making, and he is just a dude. So I'm thinking you get an extremely heavy dose of him in the preseason, get him up to the game speed of the NFL. He gets to know the playbook. He gets to see what defenses are going to do against him. And obviously this playbook is going to look a lot like the Eagles because that's who they went and got as a coordinator from there. So it's very interesting that they are feeding him all the reps. So Mr. Anthony, it's the ball's in your court.
I muted myself for the first time ever. I was blowing my nose. The I'm trying to look something up here really quick because I'm going to do a comparison. But interesting. Okay, so first thing I want to say is I feel bad for Gardner Minshew because the guy can't catch a break. Here in Jacksonville,
Yeah.
loved him to death. Believe it was kind of like his time when Nick Folk showed up and they kind of went back and forth, and then Nick got hurt and he took over, and then Trevor came in. So he's always been battling with a bigger presence, a bigger personality. Minshew has a big personality, but not the star talent behind it to support it. He's fun. He's got the hair. Not as much anymore, but early on when he was in Jacksonville, like we ate it up. We loved it. The guy fit right in. Goes to Philadelphia, does a pretty good job. Back it up. Jalen Hurts comes in, does a good job. Again, it's not flashy. Nobody cares. He's kind of one of those quarterbacks that kind of just, honestly, in a sense, like Derek Carr. Like you could, Derek Carr in at the Raiders kind of just existed there. Like you knew Derek Carr was there, but it wasn't like it's Derek Carr, right?
Or Keenum.
Or Case Keenum. Yeah, they exist, but it's like who's the quarterback there in Minnesota? What's his name? Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has done a better job of pulling himself out of that, but Case Keenum was a phenomenal one. And now he's in Indy, where he rightfully, in my opinion, should get the job, right? I feel like he's probably the better quarterback, but he's not. You put him up next to Anthony Richardson in practice, he's not going to look like that. He doesn't flick the ball 40 yards. He just doesn't do that. So he's going to battle that all offseason. I think he's fine. I think he'll be okay to deal with it, but it's just guy keeps getting ran over. And again, you're taking somebody like an Anthony Richardson who's just a physical freak. I mean, I've met the guy. We've seen him in Gainesville. It's ridiculous just watching him play. Like, it's just stature. In practice, we've seen the clips of him as well. Yeah, he's going to look way better than everybody else. Gardner Minshew's not going to blow you out of the water. Sam Ellinger's not going to blow you out of the water. Those guys are not blowing anybody out of the water. Never have. Never will. They win football games, right? They have strengths in other areas, which probably will benefit Anthony. He'll be able to learn those areas that he lacks at from those two guys. So we'll see how that plays out. But the next thing I wanted to compare is as we talk about him more and more, it reminds me a little bit of Mahomes. And here's why I say this. When Mahomes got drafted, Mahomes had a much better college career, though. So let's not compare. I'm not comparing those two. I don't want people to start yelling at me in the comments. I'm talking about more so him coming out of the NFL. When Kansas City drafted him, they weren't as high on him as people are on Anthony. Kansas City, I want to say, traded up for him because Andy Reid was like, I see something in that guy. And obviously, look what it turned out to be. The best thing ever. You hear all the time, though, the guy makes throws that I've never seen before. And we're hearing the same thing said now about Anthony Richardson. That was my next comparison. And the other thing I wanted to go over when I was looking up is prospect grade. Anthony's was a 6.4, will become a good starter within 2 years. Patty's will eventually be plus starter, a 6.3. So that is kind of what I'm a sense of the comparison of coming out. And again, they're both physical freaks, both making incredible throws, et cetera, et cetera. Mahomes had a much better college career, though. That's the one thing. That's the one thing that you can point to is like, well, there's more data behind it than what Anthony has, but the belief and him having success is through the roof. And it's going to probably be one of the most anticipated years we've had in a long time, just with this quarterback class. Probably one of the most exciting classes we've had in a while. The Trevor Lawrence class was exciting. Joey was class, yeah. But the volume of it and the volume of who will be starters right away for their team, which they're going to be the franchise guy. It's going to be a wild one. But again, always much love for Anthony, and hopefully he has a good time. What's up, man? How you doing? What's up, Callie? You got anything else, or you done?
Nope. Good okay. There.
Cool. We got to pull this up. So I'm going to pull the when you give me the nod, I'll go to the chart you've got pulled up here for Aaron Rodgers. New year, same leg.
Yeah.
But he's hurt.
Well, the professor was doing what he always does, and he's essentially just diving deep into the weeds there. And I found this site that essentially shows you every injury that the player has had. And this is very, very big because as you see, all the injuries are on the same leg. And now we're talking about a calf injury. And guys, it's a tweak, right? The problem with the calf and it being a tweak is it's kind of like a high ankle sprain, okay? It's one of those nagging injuries that just come up every year. once you get one, and it can cause some other issues due to the amount of
This looks
essentially
like it's a leg
proportional
strain. It's saying
muscle.
it's a leg strain, which is the the third one. So May 23rd
Yeah,
says leg calf. Okay, calf strain. Okay, it's up here on the high leg. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue. I'm an idiot.
yeah. So essentially, when you're using your throwing mechanics, now you start changing your throwing mechanics, which can cause a hip injury. It can cause the terrible Achilles tear. Just a shrew of problems, hamstring issues, and they signed Rodgers, or they traded the farm for Rodgers, and the first week of OTAs he gets a calf injury during stretching. That's not a good sign for a quarterback that's way up there in age and essentially has had prior injuries to that same leg. And it was very interesting. This is the same leg that he had the ACL strain on and everything else. So it seems to kind of be an issue. Now, is he going to make it a full season? We don't know. Could this possibly turn into a bigger problem down the road? Guys, I think so. I think this is a big deal. It's bigger than what the Jets want to lead it on, and you're going to hear first. I don't think he makes it through the season without another injury to that leg.
So something to pull up interesting is I was doing some data in 2014. That first leg calf tear, he won MVP. Threw for 4,300 yards. In 2016, he did not win MVP, but he threw for 4,400 yards, which was more than 2014. So maybe it's the good luck tear.
Maybe
I don't know.
it's the good luck tear.
Yeah, and so in 2018, he tore his MCL. That was not when he won MVP because he won in 2020, but he won it 2 years after that. But look, I get your point, right? There's a lot. This side here seems to be going before he's going. And what is the trade? What's the clause in the trade for the Packers and the Jets?
They have to. He has to play. He essentially
65%?
has to start 12 games or play in 12 games for them to get that extra pick in the second round.
The Packers to get the pick, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So
Maybe Rodgers sends the Packers one last gift.
yeah,
That'll be interesting to see. So yeah, look, New Year, same leg. I think he'll be fine. I really do. I think Rodgers has done a lot of work, but I think that team is built really well. I think they're going to do everything they can to protect him, and they're probably overreacting if I had to guess. And Rodgers always seems to be surrounded by some kind of drama.
always.
It just does. And I'm not saying that he's out here like faking a leg injury like WWE or whatever, but I'm not saying that he's not either. Or it could be just like, hey, I'm not really feeling it today. Let's see if we could stir things up. And it's New York. Remind you guys, him being in New York, anything's going to be news. So
Yeah, media capital of the world.
yeah, the running back who got cut, we talked about it last week. The guy got cut after his surgery and went to his Instagram. New York Post picked it up. So you're more likely to get a news cycle hit the fresh market in New York than, let's say, I don't know, Kansas City. So you got Mahomes' brother being arrested on sexual harassment charges. I feel like we barely even hear about it because nobody wants to tarnish the Mahomes name. Like, that's what it feels like. I mean, you're hearing about it, but are we really hearing about it? Like when the kid was viral on TikTok, I couldn't get him off my screen. Him and Mahomes' wife hooting and hollering and yelling and his dancing and his lip singing, and when he danced on like the memorial at one of the football games, and now he's arrested on sexual harassment charges for grabbing the manager and literally sticking his tongue down his throat, and we barely even hear about it. It's just crazy how all that stuff works out. I'm just.
Instead we're hearing about Rodgers' calf strain, which it may not be.
That's what's.
But I'll tell you this. Shout out to the site for that, because that's a cool that is a cool tool that we are definitely going to be using here at High Top, because it just shows you all the breakdowns of all the injuries.
That's the professor. He loves that shit. That's
I sent it to him, and I sent it to him twice. I was like, oh yeah,
slobbered over it. Yeah, I was like, I got the link, bud. I got it. Relax. Muddy says Rodgers went down the drain when broke up with Danica Patrick. She definitely kept him grounded. I think there isn't like a like I don't see a chick that goes well with Aaron with that personality. But Danica, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. The chick from America, what was the teenage show? I loved it as a kid growing up, like a Secret Life of American Teenager, I think is what it was. Yeah. I can't think of her name right now, but she was a smoke show. She was one of those, like, as a kid, you're like, yeah, I love her kind of thing. He dated her or got engaged to her. What?
Now he's dating like some all organic Instagram model or something.
Oh, is he really? I didn't know he had anybody. I thought he was still like sleeping in like dark caves and shit by himself.
Her name's like Sky Blue or something crazy.
Fair enough.
They just get wackier each time.
I love it. All right, last order of business here, boys and girls. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. If you're new and loving what you're getting, make sure you guys like, subscribe. Yes, I see Dom or May had to let Dom know that we are doing a show every Sunday now, 7:30, 8:05, depending on how we're feeling. We're gonna shoot for probably around 7 o'clock to come during the season, but this is gonna be our new NFL segment on Sundays here. So make sure you guys keep the bells turned on. I know sometimes YouTube doesn't allow us and send it live, but we're here having a good time. Last but not least is guys who need to bounce back for the Jaguars, who need to have a good season here until for this next, obviously, a massive season for the Jags. What do we got?
Yeah, so first, a former first-round draft pick in 2020 is out of LSU, Kevlaw Chason. You know, he really hasn't – he plays that outside linebacker / edge, and he really hasn't performed like what they thought he would. And I'm telling you now, they probably won't keep him after this year if he decides that to not really show out to his true potential. This is a make or break year for Mr. Chason, former stud defensive end for the Bayou Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, he's slotted behind Trayvon Walker right now, and obviously Trayvon, I think people were a little disappointed, especially being a first-round draft pick in his production. This, again, goes back, we're comparing it to college, and I gave Arch Manning a little bit of flack, and a lot of people did, actually, not just me. And some people try to defend him like he's young, he's whatever, but when you're coming out of high school as a 5-star, damn near perfect score prospect, the expectation is through the roof, sometimes unattainable. The same thing goes for a first-round draft pick. The expectations are through the roof. I mean, you're expected to come in and damn near be a Pro Bowler. That's kind of what's being expected, especially for first round. I mean, you're supposed to be a franchise-changing player. Was Trayvon a great player or a good player? Yes. Was he a great outshining player? No. So for the fact that he's not even being pushed by Kayvon, then that's right. I mean, that's an issue. Those two should be fighting for that position. I mean, not necessarily fight, but both first-round draft picks, one being 20th. But yeah.
Yeah, fighting for half the reps at least, and it's not looking like it's good. But you know, all you need is one small injury, and Chason can have a stellar year and
Sure.
earn his spot back. And maybe if not here, but he's got to get good NFL game tape, maybe somewhere else. It's one of those things, you know. He is on his last leg, essentially, in the NFL to be a possible depth roll-in piece and be used every week in and week out. Number 2 is where are we going again? Linebacker, Devin Lloyd, and we talked last week about the loading up on linebacker talent because I feel like they just don't know. Devin Lloyd flashed at times last year, but the hamstring injury just kind of set him back. So
Another first-round draft pick for the boys.
Yeah, you gotta hit on those guys too. And it's one of those deals he's gotta have a bounce back year because he's sitting there fending off Chad Muma and Ventrell Miller coming out of Florida. So it's gonna be super exciting to see what he does. He's gotta have a stellar year. He has to. Because the guys behind him are hungry, they're ready to play, and it's a dog-eat-dog world in the NFL. They want those reps, they want those big contracts. So we'll see if Lloyd, again, first-round draft pick, highly touted coming out of college, if he can essentially live up to the expectations of what he was drafted for, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it'll be fun to see. I mean, again, the team is, looking good. I'm trying to see here. I'm looking at fantasy stats here for Devin Lloyd on what was projected and what was actual. So they got each week. So they had him kind of projected pretty high on his performance, and he fell short almost every week, except he had a pretty good week in week 16. I don't know how they do these points. I don't play fantasy on the defensive side, but fantasy football has done a pretty good job of kind of gauging how players should play. First 3 weeks, really well for Devin Lloyd, but then he had a kind of a lackluster season from week 4 to week 13, based on what
that could
was
be the hamstring.
Yeah, what was expected of him. But had a big surge at the end, and then kind of lacked off the last few games. But kind of up and down. We need some more consistency. So we'll see. Muddy says Lloyd was such a good pass rusher at Utah. What we need, we wish they would just switch him to outside linebacker. Maybe it could just be, maybe that was the addition of all the linebackers to the staff.
Maybe push him out.
Maybe we can rotate him a little bit more, and find a better home for him. So, Yasser Abdullah, another addition as well, who was an earlier draft pick for the Jags that a lot of people were excited about. So, a lot of new talent coming in on the linebacker position. But great show as always, man. Appreciate you coming on here all the way down there from Mississippi. Not as many birds this time, which was pleasant.
I shot them all. Allegedly.
I love it. Harlan Harrison, what's up? That's our FSU guy there. But boys and girls, make sure you guys drop a like, show some love, subscribe. Great show as always. Again, we're going to be doing these live shows every Sunday, 7:35 typically. Today I was under the weather, so I needed a few extra minutes to try to get some tea in me, get bounced back in me. But you guys already know we're going to be live Wednesday at 8:35. So make sure you guys come hang out with us. We're going to have a guest on. I'm not quite sure who it is. We might have some rules we got to follow, so we may not be able to have the person I want to have on. So I'm not going to make that announcement until it's confirmed. But the following 2 weeks, some massive guests on those Wednesday shows. So we're only ramping up and we're only going north here, boys. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Show some love as always. You guys always do. Let us know in the comments how you guys enjoyed today's show. I'm sure you guys will be there roasting us as you always do. We appreciate that. But we will see you guys next week. And until then, I'm Sheldon.
I'm Cody the Professor.
Boogie, 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 boys. Love you guys as always. Peace.
See you later.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well,
Bring your mustache out, Cody.